Let's talk about one of the most mind-bending technologies on the horizon, a direct link between the human brain and a computer. We're going to look at how this incredible science actually works, the miracles it promises, and, yeah, the really unsettling questions it forces us to ask about who we even are. To really get where this is all going, you have to understand where it starts. And it's not what you think. It doesn't begin in some dark dystopian future. See, it starts with a very human, very noble desire to help people, to repair what's broken and give people their lives back. And that's the door. That's how this technology enters our world, not as some cool upgrade for the healthy, but as an absolute lifeline for people who are suffering. I mean, can you imagine being locked inside your own body, trapped by paralysis or Parkinson's, or losing the ability to speak? For someone in that situation, a brain-computer interface, a BCI, isn't just a gadget. It's a key. It is pure freedom. So how in the world does it work? Well, the basic idea is actually kind of beautiful. First, a person just thinks about doing something, like moving their hand. That thought alone creates a very specific electrical spark in the brain. Second, a tiny chip implanted there reads that unique signal. It's literally reading the intention. Then, and this is the amazing part, it reroutes that signal wirelessly. It just leaps right over any injury in the spinal cord and sends the command directly to a computer or even back to the muscles themselves. It's like building a brand new super fast highway for your thoughts. And the way it connects to the brain, wow, it's an engineering marvel. The chip is wired in using 64 ultra-thin, flexible threads. And when I say thin, each one is thinner than a single human hair. A robot has to implant them with surgical precision just to read those faint neural signals with any kind of accuracy. And look, this isn't a what-if scenario anymore. It's happening. The very first human patient with this kind of implant was able to sit there and play a game of chess on a laptop just by thinking. That right there, that's the promise. The power to give people back their connection to the world. But here's the turn. History teaches us a really important lesson about powerful new tools. The ones we invent to help us, well, they have a habit of following a very predictable and kind of troubling pattern. Think about it. Almost every big technology starts with a noble goal, to help us connect, to make life easier, to solve a huge problem. But once it gets big enough, once everyone is using it, its second purpose almost always becomes about power and control. I mean, we've seen this movie before, right? The internet promised us a global village, a library of all human knowledge. What we got was surveillance capitalism. The smartphone promised us convenience in our pocket. What it became was a tracking device that we all willingly carry around. The promise is always beautiful, but the reality tends to get a little bit extractive. So what happens when we take that exact same pattern and we apply it not to something in our pocket, but to a device that is hardwired directly into our consciousness, one that's sitting right there next to our private thoughts, our deepest intentions? And this is where the whole conversation shifts from medicine to the marketplace. Because if you can read something and you can measure it, well, sooner or later, someone's going to figure out how to sell it. You don't lose your privacy all at once. It just kind of erodes bit by bit. So step one, it's simple stuff, just reading the intention to move a cursor on a screen. Then, as the tech gets better, maybe it can decode the signals for the words you're thinking. But the real money, the commercial goldmine, that's step three, reading your emotional state, your level of focus, your stress, your fatigue. That data is unbelievably valuable. And just like that, you arrive at step four, your inner world is now legible. And that's what legibility really means. It means your entire complex, messy, beautiful inner life, your moods, your focus, your mental energy, it all gets translated into neat little data points on a screen. You become a dashboard that somebody can monitor, analyze, and of course, optimize. So what does that optimization look like? Well, just imagine an app store, but for your mind. A world where you could subscribe to better focus for a few bucks a month, or purchase a temporary mood lift for a difficult day, where you could activate Confidence Pro right before a big meeting. The whole freemium model, but applied to your own consciousness. And this just opens up a Pandora's box of questions, doesn't it? What happens when an employer doesn't just ask for your resume, but asks for your neural performance metrics? A cognitive compatibility check to make sure you're gonna be an efficient worker. At what point does a tool that's supposed to help you become a tool you need just to compete? But okay, beyond the market, there's an even darker road we have to go down: security. Because if a device can be connected to, it can be hacked. Now, a hacked BCI is nothing like what you see in the movies. It's not about turning someone into a mind-controlled puppet. It's way, way more insidious than that. You could call it existential hacking. Just tiny, manufactured nudges to your own feelings. A little push, a little suggestion that feels completely 100% like your own idea. Just think about how you could absolutely ruin a person's life with this. You wouldn't need a weapon. All you'd have to do is introduce a tiny whisper of anxiety right before they give a huge presentation, or just slightly dial down their impulse control when they're near something self-destructive, or create a constant, low-level mental fog so they can't think clearly. These aren't commands. They're just vulnerabilities, exploited from the inside out. And this leads to a terrifying philosophical and legal problem. I mean, if you act on an impulse, but you can't prove it wasn't yours, how do you defend yourself? How can you possibly argue against a feeling? The crime scene, the weapon, the victim, they're all in the exact same place. So all of this, it leads us to the final and honestly the most important question. This isn't really about technology anymore. It's about what it means to be human. We love to think that a technology like this will stay optional, but let's be real. Will it? I mean, a smartphone is technically optional, but can you really function in today's world without one? When jobs and schools and social status all start to favor the people who are neurally enhanced, being unplugged might not be a choice anymore. It might become a disadvantage. A new kind of digital divide, literally written into our biology. And that gets to the absolute heart of the fear here. The real risk was never some dramatic robot uprising. It's a quiet, seamless slide into a world where human beings are no longer messy and unpredictable and free, but are instead manageable, silently guided, optimized for peak efficiency, with all of our difficult, creative, and rebellious edges just smoothed away. Because when you boil it all down, the last frontier of privacy, the last truly free space we have, isn't our home, it's not our phone. It's that quiet, internal world inside our own heads, where we can be ourselves, totally unobserved. That is the only place we are ever truly free. So as we stand right on the edge of building a port, a direct connection into that final, sacred space, we have to ask the most important question of all: who or what are we about to let inside?